to quickly run through question 1.1, we just wanted the total area of this shape, and we've got a radius, a base, and a height. So step 1, just create your variables, and then extract the radius, the base, the height. So we're working with measurements. That means it must be float, they must be double. Alright, so then we extract them. Then second step, we wanted the area for the circle, and we wanted the area for the triangles. Now in the question paper they did give us the formula. They did say the circle, pi times radius squared. And they gave us the value for pi, even though we don't need it. So what we did for the circle, you can just use pi. If you use the word pi, it actually gives you the pi value. And then the square of radius. That is fine. They would have also accepted if any of you went and you said radius times radius. That would have also been fine. Or if you use the power function where you went radius to the power of 2, that's also fine. Any of the three ways that you wanted to use, perfect. Okay, that was the circle. And then the triangles, you'll see they did tell us there's 8 of them though. So there's our formula, half times base times height. And then they said display the area of the circle, the area of the 8 triangles in total, and then the total for the whole thing. So for the circle, we went a half times base times height, but then times 8. And that was our 8 circles. So then the area of the circle, we just display it. The area of the triangles, we just displayed it. And then the total area is our circle plus triangle. And then we displayed it. With the second question, they wanted the next blue moon. Alright, let's go with this one. So the next blue moon. They told us the first blue moon was seen in this year. After a blue moon was seen every 3 years. The trick here, they tell us extract the year in which the blue moon was seen from the info label. Then use the year from the system date and extract from the label year. The next blue moon will appear, excluding the existing year display, the output in the edit box provided. Alright. So if we look at this one, getting our current year, you can use the now function. Now gives you the current date. And then there's a function year of that will give you the year of that. So this will give us the year of today. So now we know what is our current year. The first year, you'll see this person, yes. So unfortunately not. Because the question told us, use the year from the system date. So they did say that we have to use the system date to get the current year. So they specifically asked for that, unfortunately. So we have to go that route. And that's the same reason for this. This person that gave me this answer said the first year is 1862 because the question said it. But if we read further, they told us extract the year of which the first blue moon was seen from the label. So they wanted you to do that. So we couldn't just, even though they said this was actually stupid saying it. I think the question shouldn't have said that. But they did tell us we need to extract it. So we couldn't just say first year is that. So who knows? How do I extract something from a label? Dot caption. Perfect. All right. So I'm just going to create a string here. Let's say first. I'm just going to call it first. I'm going to make it a string. And then just say first year. All right. So that will give me the whole caption, however. So now if you look at this thing, all of that is in the caption. So it's not just the year, it's like the whole sentence and everything is in there. But they just want that. But we can see, do you agree that that year is the last 4 digits? So that's what we can use. Now with this, then you'll say, but sir, how do you know it will always be the last 4? So in this case, because it's a label, that means it's not editable by the person. You know, when you run this thing, nobody can type in anything here. You can't type, you can't change that. So it is a fixed value. And because of that, you can assume this will be a fixed value. So because of that, we can, so what I want now the last 4 characters from this variable. And how would I do that? Yes. Okay, so who wants to help me? What do I say? I'm going to use the copy function out of first. Okay, all we could have, but I already extracted today. Okay, so, and then the length of first, okay, minus 4. And then, yeah, so you can then go and put length again, or you can go put 4 then again, or you can just close it. All right, so would 4 work nice though? Who wants to help me a bit here? Let's see, if we do first year, use that one, and then we say, remember it's a string now, so I need to change my string um, to an integer, and this last variable that I created, string to int. Alright, let's quickly run this thing. Let's just see what this does. Select this button. Eish, error. Now it says the colon 1862 is not a valid integer. What went wrong? Who can help me? What went wrong? What did we not do? What did we do wrong? Alright, so you'll remember this minus 4. It's just too many. We just needed the minus 3. Remember last time when we wanted the last 5, we used 4. So now when we want to use last 4, we have to actually have 3. Because what length does, it tells you where the last character is already. So I don't want the last one. I want just 3 before it so I can have the last 4 of them. And now doing this, it should theoretically work goodish. Alright, okay, but let's see. So that part worked fine. Let's see what we did here now. So then this person went and he said the current year, subtract the first year. And then he added the first year again. And then he displayed it. Will this work? What do you guys think? What is happening here? If you go current year minus first year, and you say first year plus that, what will you always get? Yeah, because you say first year plus and it minus first year. And so they'll cancel each other out. You always get the current year. All right. So, who tried this? What else do you think we can do? So, remember the question I wanted. So, the first year the moon was seen is in that year. And then every 3 years after. The only reason why we need the current year is so that because they want to know the next year the blue moon is appearing, but that should exclude the current year. So we must look for the next year, which is a multiple of 3 after that, but then, or from there, but it should be after the current year. So, what do you mean 3? And then you always get 3 years more. It won't necessarily be a multiple of this though, or a multiple of 3 after this. Yeah. Right. So tell me what we could do. So you'd go repeat loop. Alright, let's see, repeat. Until when? Oh, so the new blue moon. Yeah. Yes. Alright, can all of you see? So the only reason why we've got current year was to get the next blue moon that is after current year. So this is the only place where it actually needs to be is inside our repeat to basically say when we should stop. That's the only reason why we needed to have it. Alright, yeah, and then what would you do? The new blue moon year? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, Wanle, what did you wanted to add? Do you agree with this or which one? Yes, so this is infinite loop. Do you agree? Because yes. So what do we need, guys? Remember what did I tell you? When you've got a repeat loop or a while loop, how many pieces do we have? Yes, and that will help. So this thing needs to be initialized to something. Yeah. So that could be a good initialize. And then what do we do inside? Yeah. Yeah. That would be perfect. You see, so we start our next one at the first year plus 3. So that is the next one. And then we loop through, adding 3 to it every time until that one is greater than the current year. And then we just display it. All right, let's see what it is. 2024. So next year we'll have a blue moon. Fantastic. All right, so number 3, highest common factor. So with this one, and again, it sounds much easier than it actually is. And doing the answer will also look easy at the end, but it's difficult to get there. But with this one, this is one I want to say you sort of should learn because they actually expect. So in there's a document that tells us what we need to teach, and they actually say, like with arrays, you need to know how to sort, and another algorithm you need to know is to calculate a highest common factor. So they actually like said, listen, you guys are supposed to know how do you calculate the highest common factor. So you can even learn it a bit, even though it might come out, might not. So it's a good one I want to say for this year to study hard, so that next year you don't need to study it again, but you've got the gist of it and you could just fix it once we're there. Okay, but let's look at the answer we've got here. So we're going to have these two numbers, and then the highest common factor. You remember that is the number that is a factor of both of these ones, but which is the biggest factor. All right, so let's see what we could have done here. Step 1, extract your two numbers. I even want to say, those of you that struggle, even if you just do this, there's marks for it. And then just having a display, most of the time there's a mark for that as well. So like in this question, it is 10 marks. I'm telling you now, if you extracted these two and you did a display, you'd have gotten at least 2 marks, maybe even 3 marks. So it's a 3 out of 10. That's already a pass. That's already 30% for the question. And that's with you not understanding it completely. So, and then everything from there on. All right, so let's see. So step 1, extract our numbers. Then a question just. So this person used integer. Would double not have been better? Why or why not? All right, so integer is the right answer. Double is not better. For reason, then we couldn't use mod. But over and above that, remember all factors. Factors are whole numbers. They are integers. You don't get a fraction as a factor. So highest common factor, that must be an integer. So that's why we should stick with integers. So this is perfect. You must go integer, and that helps us with our mod as well. Right, then you remember what a factor is. It's a number that you can divide by without getting a remainder. So who can see a problem with this code? Yes, exactly. ICOM and ICOM2 doesn't have starting values and you're using it. It can't be on the right hand side if you don't give it a value. So ICOM, because it was created here locally, it will have like a random number, a big number in it. So, and then you're just using it. So, okay, so we know we want to initialize that. So who wants to help me? What for ICOM and ICOM2, what do you think is a good place to initialize them to? So ICOM is our highest common factor for the first number. Yes. And then the second one, number 2. Yes, perfect. Because remember, if you look at these numbers, or any number, if you got a number 10, what is the highest factor of a number 10? Which is the number itself. So starting them at the numbers they are at would be a nice idea of what is the highest one. All right, then what this person did, he took that number, modded by the number itself to see if there's a remainder or not. Then he checked if the first one is greater than the other one, then displayed that, otherwise displayed the other one. All right, so if we had a 10, and let's say we had a 10 and a 20. 10 would have been divided by 10 with no remainder, and then, but remember this, mod, what does mod give me though? When I divide 10 by 10, what would my mod be? Yes, the remainder, which should be what? If I divide the number by itself, 0. So that would just be 0, and that will be 0 because you just dividing the number by itself. And then comparing. So at the end, this thing will actually always display 0. Alright, so that's not ideal. Alright, so I'm gonna just, let's take out that pieces there. Alright, who wants to help me with this? Any other ideas? What do you think if we've got the two numbers itself as the first, let's say, highest common factors? What do you think? What's the first thing that you would do if you needed to do it mathematically? Let's say you had a number 10 and 20 there. Mathematically, what would you do first? So you look for the smallest one. Okay. So that we can do with the if degree. So we can look between the if I num1. Okay, what do you want to do with the smallest number though? Once you get the smallest one, what do you want to do? Okay. So your highest common factor, you'll say, remember we've got a min function as well. So between I num1 and I num2. Yeah, so min gives you the smallest between the two. So the smallest between the two, we can say that is our highest common factor. We can assume, we're taking a guess. We're taking a guess. The smallest one is the highest common factor. All right, now we've got the smallest one as a potential. What would you do then? But but remember, what if, let's say you had 10 and 20. The smaller number is 10, and 10 is actually a factor. So you just don't want to halve it. But okay, yeah. So let's say my first number is 12. Next one is 8. Highest common factor is 4. And if I make this a 20, okay, I still do it. Let's make that a 10. Then it's a 10. And if there's 100, it's a 20. Yeah. So extracting two numbers, getting the smallest one for our for loop, just so that we know where the for loop should go. And then to check for factors, we take our numbers we had, we divide it by I, and every time both of them has got no remainder, then I keep I's value, because then that is the next highest one. But we started bottom up, so we can overwrite. We got a 1, but we didn't care about 1. The 2 overwrote it, then the 3 overwrote it, and the 4 overwrote it. So at the end, 4 would have been the answer if that was the questions. For future reference. If something doesn't work, never delete the code. Open a curly bracket, close a curly bracket, leave it there, even if you want to put some stars just so that you know where to, and then put your code in. So, but try never, never, never delete code. You don't know if there's a method mark in here that you wouldn't get here. And then, so rather leave all of that stuff and make sure that the person knows. All right, yeah, so like with this solution now, it just went up opposite way around. Went looking for the biggest one from the start. Extracted the two, started with the highest one, look to see if it's our highest common factor, make it true so it can go out and display, and if it's not, decrement that one by 1, and that would have gone right down up until 1, because 1 would be that, and then it would display a 1 if no else. So yeah, that is the opposite way around of this one, but 100% fine. Yeah. Let's have a look at this one. So removing the vowels from a sentence. They gave us a default one just to help us to get to the right answer. But obviously you can't work with this one as a hard code. You can't hard code this out. All right, so let's look. I again got a solution that we're gonna just look through and see if it works or not work. All right, so we've got some variables for us to use. Then the sentence was extracted twice. So we don't need that. Okay, but let's leave it there for now. Let's see what happens. Then we've got an S line that's just got a space. Okay, we don't know what that is for yet. Then our second sentence was made lowercase. Let's just read the question again. So this one, delete all the vowels from the sentence ended by the user except where the vowel is the first letter of the word. Display the sentence after the deleting vowels in the edit box. Alright, so it's exactly like that. However, yeah, we just want to leave the first letter and then all vowels should be out. Oof, I don't know if you did you see even in the sample the A is still there. What? Delete all the vowels. Their sample one is wrong even. There's an I and an A there still. Oh, of the word. Alright, I thought first letter of the sentence. Alright, so I just read it through. Oh, okay, I understand now. Alright. So it's where the first letter of the word. So if it's after a space, we should ignore it. Alright, alright, alright. Yes, and I agree with that as well, because they did the way they asked the question as well. Delete all the vowels from the sentence. So this sentence means it is a sentence, means only first letter will be capital letter. So you can assume everything else will be small letters. You don't need to watch out for that as well. So yeah, that's good. All right, so let's look at this one. Okay, so we didn't need to worry about lowercase though. It would be lowercase irrespective, so that we didn't need. It's maybe good to have it just for in case. All right, then let's see what that person. So this person went from 1 to the length of the sentence. Then he took that sentence to at position I, and then he looked if it was a E, I, O, U. If that is false, then S line was whatever S line was plus that letter. And then you displayed it at the end. Alright, so I wouldn't start this with a space though. And then this would work fine. This will extract all characters, except now because of lowercase, our first letter might be also now included in this. So I actually think this lowercase would break it for us. So we don't want that. So that our first letter, that's a capital letter, will be sorted. But now we need to check for after each of the spaces. So this answer didn't check for that. So let's quickly see if we run this one. This is how it works. Remove vowels. Alright, there we have it, except yes, all our ones where it was the first letter is still in here. Otherwise, good solution. Alright, so how can we cover for that now? Wants to give us an idea. How do we not take the ones if it is the first letter of the word? Any ideas? No ideas. Yeah. All right. All right. No one. I thought some of you had the solution for this. All right. But what we can do, so personally, I wouldn't go for loop then. I'm just thinking in a way that we can make the for loop work. So the other option would be we check if the letter is any of those ones. If it's false, then what we need to do first though is, so if it's not a vowel, then we do that. But then we need an else if. Because now with this one, so if the first letter is not a vowel, we want to add it to the string. All right, and that's it. So taking our for loop, checking if it's a vowel, keeping the vowel, not a vowel, keeping the non-vowel consonant, and then checking if the letter just before was a space, and then keeping that vowel and displaying.